Morning, 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 everyone. Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. One and all, and welcome to a bit of a Wednesday morning good walk. Like I say, unfortunately, I've got a meeting to go to tonight, so no Wednesday night live, but of course we can do a good morning Wednesday walk instead. So, like I say, as always, guys, welcome to the Wednesday Good Morning Walk. It's absolutely fantastic, as always, to have you all here and talking about, well, what's happened so far. I'll tell you what, though, my crowning moment, certainly of this week, has been so far definitely the Conservative Home article. I mean, talk about being proved right. But when, Conservative Home agrees with you at the point of, what's Rishi Sunak for, it's a good win. It's a very, very good win. Forward across the mud. Oh, Nick B, good morning to you. Like I say, good morning to everyone else. Like I say, I know it's a bit of a surprise as always when I go live. Like I say, squelch, 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 squelch. Ugh. Difficult to sort. It's getting more and more difficult to get across here because the cows just completely churn this up. Christopher, good morning from Canada. Good morning to you. Whoop, so easy. But yes, like I say, Daily Blaze, good morning to you. Whoops, so daisy. Bo, wait, is it Monday or Wednesday today? It would be Wednesday. Dave W, good morning to you. You're having a good morning walk of your own. Excellent. Excellent, that's what we like to hear. Like I say, a nice, good morning walk gets you out, gets you thinking. Good exercise for you and good for your mental health as well. So I'm a big advocate of getting out and walking. John, good morning to you. Christopher, you got woken up by tremendous winds. I suppose where it depends those winds came from. But like I say, yes, Rishi Sunak. I don't think he's got long. I generally think Sunak does not have long in his position. I mean, we've got Jake Berry, the head of the Northern Research Group, coming out and saying, look, if, Sunak and the Conservatives, or at least, the Conservatives do not do well at the upcoming May elections, that's of course for local elections, this year, that could very well decide his fate to a point where the Conservatives will reach into a sheer pit of desperation. They're definitely, there are Conservatives seriously considering putting Boris Johnson back in charge. I mean, you've got to be in a serious problem, or at least, you know, a big enough problem to go, I know who we need back in charge. We need Boris. Well, talk about desperate. Nope. Both the election of Truss and Sunak shows that Tories have no good PM candidates available. Yep, exactly. Well, the thing is, it's all their talent was booted out pretty much, well, by Boris Johnson. You know, in 2016, a lot of the talent saw the way that this was going. They knew the problems that Brexit would create, so they either did two things. Well, they did three things, really. First of all, you had those that stayed and tried in some whatever way possible to try and restore sanity to the Conservative Party. And for their efforts, like I say, Boris Johnson kicked them out. Or they either went, you know what, I'm just going to sort of fade into the background and just sit on the back benches and just see how all this goes. Or some have just straight up left and are now still in the Conservative Party, but not in the Parliamentary Party. And already we've got a mass exodus happening under Rishi Sunak of Conservatives, and even more importantly, Red Wall Conservatives who won their seat at the last, at the 2019 election. Who is it now? Is it Donna Davis? Donna Davidson, I think it was. And she's like pinned as one of the stars of like the Tory victory of the Red Wall. Barely even been an MP for 3 years, and she's already announced that she's stepping down. And she's not the only one. There are lots of Tory MPs all stepping down left, right and centre because they know they cannot win the next election. But yes, good morning to Nico, Nico De Smit, good morning to you, and LJ, good morning to you. And if you think about this, if you're in this situation, and it's very, very clear that the Tories are, even they know themselves, they're going to lose this general election. It's just a question they're asking themselves of how badly they're going to lose the next election. You know, you've got Rishi Sunak's numbers, like the Sunak bounce, has now plateaued. So this bounce they got in changing leaders hasn't helped. And I think the polling after, certainly the polling after Christmas into New Year, I don't think it's going to be good. I'll tell you this, I love the smell of Tory desperation in the morning. You know what it smells like? Boris Johnson. And that's seriously what they do. Oh, I am Daniel Blake. Oh, good morning to you. I didn't see you comment there, but good morning to you. The NHS is utterly screwed. Yes, I mean, you know, the NHS is trying the best, and, you know, good on the NHS for doing what they're doing, but, you know, under the Tories, it's... yeah, I agree with you on that. I am a lifelong Labour voter, and now I'm actually need the NHS to look after my partner. Her cancer treatment is so delayed that I'm devastated by the waiting times. Yeah, we've been hearing that quite a bit, unfortunately, about that. So, you know, I hope your partner does well. You know, and, you know, all the best from me for whatever that is sort of, you know, worth to you. Me being, you know, a random YouTuber. But yes, like I say, keep yourself safe, and yes, you know, I hope you do well. And, you know, same to your wife as well. Oh, Chris, good morning to you. Morning. Give the Tories enough time and they will stack the deck in their favour. Discrete law changes and gerrymandering. Yeah, I mean, we've already seen, certainly at the May elections, the voter ID laws. One thing I'm going to be watching out, certainly for the May elections, is news, or at least any studies or anything that comes out that says how many people turned up to the polls and couldn't vote. That's going to be quite interesting, because if that is any way, in any somewhat significant number, certainly Labour could have an absolute field day on the Tories. And I think there's a couple of like pressure groups that have already sort of looked at how they can take this to the Supreme Court. So that will certainly be something interesting to watch out for. Will there ever be an alternative to the Tory party? So I suppose the real question you're asking was, will the Tory party split, JL? No. The Tory party will not split, at least as far as we can see, because they know that a split party splits the right-wing vote. You know, the Conservatives hated UKIP for doing that to them, and they will hate any other sort of right-wing party for doing the same thing. So there won't ever be sort of a sort of alternative Conservative party. What will essentially happen is we've been talking to you all about how there is going to be this almighty Tory civil war, and we've seen the skirmishes certainly over the past couple of years, and when they're out of power, oh boy, the Conservatives are going to tear themselves to pieces over everything. And to be honest, that'll be a good thing, because while the Conservatives are desperately trying to, well, sort themselves out in any way, shape or form, the more they tear themselves apart, the more this is better for us, because then we can get a good agenda passed, we can get some good policies put in, because they're not going to be in any real fit state to even oppose, a good progressive agenda. And I think that's really what we're getting. And I mean, I know a lot of people have said before that, you know, they disagree with Starmer, and yeah, I understand, but that's politics at the end of the day. You're never going to get everything that you wanted. And you've got to understand the politics at play, as we've talked about many times before. When you look at studies, political studies, when people are asked, and people have watched my live streams, know what I'm about to get on, because we always have to get onto this, is when you look at sort of the studies, what are you? Are you, are you politically left? Are you politically right? Or you're in the centre? Are you a centrist? And we always talk about how, in reality, the centrists massively outnumber people on the left or right. They are a massive floating voter bloc. And certainly the left cannot win without at least 15 to 20% support from the centrists. And that's just unfortunate. That is the political situation. So as much as, you might not like Keir Starmer, there is some stuff coming. I think in the Labour manifesto, we're going to get some good stuff. Of course, I'm a centrist. I'm the centre of the universe. I'll tell you what I wanted to cover tonight. I was going to cover, surely you've all heard the name, Sargon of Akkad, or aka Carl Benjamin, the man who single-handedly destroyed UKIP. And, he has his own sort of now new podcast called The Lotus Eaters that he's been doing. And it's mostly been about culture war. Rubbish, let's say that. And as I said before, the culture war stuff really isn't, it's not an argument. It's not an argument at all. What matters is policy. And the thing is, most of this culture war stuff just distracts from the good bread and butter politics. And that really is the policy that, we can implement, in Parliament. That is what is important. And he did a video about I think the falling to pieces of the Conservative Party. So I was going to cover that tonight, but unfortunately I can't. But maybe, like I say, we'll save it for another time. But yeah, Jesus Christ. Like I say, it's easy to be a right-winger on YouTube. You talk about culture war nonsense, and you can get stupid amount of views, but Catho G, good morning to you. Chatty Rat, good morning to you. I didn't see you sneak in there. Like I say, good morning to anyone else who sneaked in, though I haven't said good morning to. Riots, thanks for the morning. So, hang on, it's the infamous, Barnsley Triangle. Hopefully we'll stay connected. Sometimes we don't through this part, I don't know why, but there you go. There we go. So, yeah, where does this leave the Conservative Party at the moment? Well, Rishi Sunak currently has 3 rebellions going on. And the problem is, this is now a guy who's officially a lame duck prime minister, but he has a massive majority. I mean, it's not a good situation for the country to be in, to be honest, because This means that a ton of different policy areas have been just completely left in the dark, changed almost 3 times in as quick succession. Yeah, I saw Braverman doesn't like facing scrutiny. Yeah. Oh, that was beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. What an absolutely beautiful video that was. Oh. But like I say, we go through, we've been going through prime ministers like, well, no one's business. And in the meantime, virtually no business in Parliament has been done. And transport is one key area. The fact that I think if Labour really wants to win back the Red Wall, put forward a good, coherent strategy to really sort out all the train strikes. I mean, there is a good argument in case here, certainly to nationalise the railways. And I think that would potentially be a good vote winner, to be honest. Now, I know Starmer's said he wants to stay away from nationalisation, but if you look, all the franchising, all the privatisation has been a complete and absolute utter failure. So there really is a good case to sort of show and prove when you wait and look to sort of other countries and how, successful their railway systems are. Then, bringing them back into public ownership is quite a good idea. It's quite a good move. And the other thing was the energy idea that Keir Starmer had brought forward. The idea of bringing forward an energy, a government-run sort of power plant, or at least energy investment sort of area. I think that would be generally a really good idea to get going. Railway workers about to strike in America. Yes, I had heard about that. Going on in America. And like I say, ours are once again striking again, because it looks like that, well, the government has got in the way on purpose. Does the US have railways? I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I don't know what you call it, the derailization was far worse in America than it was in the UK when we ended up privatising things. Oh. Ta-da! Here's your good morning ponies. There you go. I think we've got a follower. Oh no, I thought he was going to follow me then. Oh, today is complete now. I'm glad. I'm glad. But honestly, on this channel before, you know, I have talked about how important infrastructure is, and I think it's very, very sort of well worth repeating that when we talk about infrastructure, it's not just about building, you know, new roads and railways, even though that is part of it. It is also about making sure that you've got hospitals, schools. You know, when we talk about infrastructure, it's so much more than just sort of rails. But railways are and could be a massive key to certainly helping the UK get out of its current difficulties. I mean, you may remember just a couple of weeks ago now, we talked about how Bradford had been let down by the fact that they weren't getting their sort of new railway built, and they were missing out on millions of pounds that could bring to that town's economy. And it's not, like I say, it's not just Bradford, it's everywhere in the north. Everywhere. Right, okay, we're going to attempt this. This will either go really badly or it will go really well. Let's go. Oh, yes. We're up. We did it. Oh. Somehow the swans are still here. I'd have thought they'd have gone by now. I say, I'm genuinely surprised that these guys are still here. Like I say, I'm genuinely surprised that these swans haven't gone yet. It makes me ask the question whether these swans have learnt to fly yet, because normally the pair of swans do have their offspring quite early, but these, like I say, out of the, I think the 6 that were born, are the only 3 that are left here now. And like I say, I don't know what happened to the others, whether they've flown off, and like I say, these 3 have been left behind, but yeah, it's very strange. Back home, swans would usually swim away from me, not towards. Yeah. See, it makes me think that someone's been feeding them. Yeah, but it's really odd the fact that they are here, though. Really, really odd. Jay, where you live, the swans that they've stopped flying south. Yeah, that's global warming for you. Now, you'll have to excuse me if I don't read the comments, or I don't look at the screen every so often, so if I do miss a message or anything like that, you'll have to forgive me. Like I say, I've got this extremely muddy path to try and negotiate. Like I say, it's only going to get worse. Like I say, I think I might stop coming up here maybe after today on the morning walks, because to be honest, it's so muddy. on this path. Well, it's difficult to, even with like my wellies on, it's difficult to keep up. Like I say, ugh. So anyway, yes, I understand you all very much liked my council's for PR video that I did, and what happened in Jacob Rees-Mogg's constituency recently. Like I say, if you haven't seen that video, go give it a watch. But yeah, that was a massive win for PR, because it puts the Conservatives, certainly being the only party that doesn't want PR, and it causes big problems potentially for them down the road. Because if you poll sort of Conservatives on sort of voting, there's a lot of Conservatives that do want to change the voting system. And certainly towards a PR one, to make it fairer. Like I say, there's some times when you've got to have campaigns. Talked about before about how you have to reach across the aisle to get a lot of support. And one of the things that we have seen, of course, and I always talk about, is reforming the House of Lords. And if we ever get to that point where, which I do think we are, I think we're getting there. I think that the momentum for changing sort of the voting system and having big constitutional changes is very, very much having its time, shall we say. So it's just building up more and more momentum, and we will get there eventually. It just takes a lot of work. Like I say, sometimes when you go into these big political fights, or at least to make big political changes, you need to be prepared for the long haul. And of course, I know Keir Starmer said that he's, quote, PR is not his priority. Then it is up to us to sort of help make it a priority. And like I say, that's why we have to campaign and have to keep moving forward for it, because it will dramatically change sort of the UK's fortunes. Certainly politically, that's one big thing, as we've talked about before. It will massively change the face of UK politics, whether we reform, as we've said, the House of Commons and the House of Lords. And the thing is, Starmer has said he wants to, reform the House. He wants to, reform the House of Lords. Well, let's make it a PR system then. Let's make it a House of Regional Representatives. And I think that if we can get that, that'll be a big change in politics, a massive change. Having politicians having to deal with, a second elected house is going to be quite fun in our politics. There we go. Just clean off some excess mud. Oop, there we go. Of course, we've got PMQs today. It's very, very likely, of course, today that certainly Starmer will take on Sunak over the whole PPE fast lane scenario that's come out. And I think this is really just a case of where Labour should be pushing for an investigation into this. Oh, hold on. Patrick H. Some Labour people... Hang on. There we go. Some Labour people are afraid if you bring in PR, a lot of soft Tories who currently vote Lib Dem or don't vote will start voting Conservative. Well, why don't they now? You know, I can say I don't really see that as a big issue. I think if they are that soft, then I'd ask the question of, well, aren't they already voting Conservative? Braverman will not be there. Yeah, probably. Definitely. JL, if the Scots ever go independent, would they do PR? Curious. Probably. They've already got a PR system, or at least I can't remember what exact type of PR it is. I think it's double choice. Don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's double choice. I can't 100% remember if it is or not. But yeah, the Scottish Parliament is elected by PR. This is the problem now, because I have to really sort of focus on sort of keeping myself upright. Patrick H. Too ashamed to vote Tory. Oh, FSM. Have you seen the bill that was placed before Parliament for PR by a Labour MP? No, I haven't seen that. I'll have to have a look at it, actually. If you know who it was, I'll have a look at it. I forget her name. A video was posted on Twitter. Oh, I'll have a look for that. I will have a look for that. I'll certainly try and find it. It's going to be debated in January and February. Oh, that'll be interesting. That will be interesting. But yeah, I think given all this chaos, I think given the fact that the Conservative Party is completely and utterly ungovernable, there's going to be a general election next year. There is absolutely going to be a general election. I think Sunak's budget, I believe, comes up soon. I can't remember the exact date of when they yeah. Actually, I can't remember the exact date of when it comes up off the top of my head right now. But if that fails to go through, whew, oh boy. Talk about, you want to talk about, what's Sunak's reason for being? Well, he can't pass his budget. Ooh, ooh, ooh. There will be fireworks. Ugh. Yeah. See, this is the bit that I hate the most. It's just absolute. Just mud after mud. David Miliband is reportedly on his way back to politics. Potentially. I mean, Ed Miliband, I'll tell you now, has been absolutely fantastic. Recently, and I'll tell you what, he was probably potentially the best sort of prime minister we never ever had, which is a real shame. But he's been doing some absolutely fantastic work. Hang on. Nearly. Yeah, this is why I don't like this. This path, because it's absolutely chock-a-block with mud. Cavalan 100. Does Sunak have 6 months left as PM? I saw a headline yesterday and some MPs are giving him about 6 months in the job. Yes, it combines with the... obviously what happens in sort of 6 months' time. It is going to be the local elections, the May local elections, and I think a lot of Tory MPs are going to be looking what happens in those May local elections. And like I say, if you are in the UK and you do have, like I say, an election in your area this time around, get out and, vote Labour. Make sure, as many Conservatives lose their seat, because we saw what happened last May election, and that was sort of before this stuff all really kicked off. It was just starting. So, yeah. The next May elections are going to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Patrick H. The budget vote is like a confidence vote. If the government lose the Prime Minister, has to consider resigning. Yep. Absolutely. Cat Smith, right, I'll have to remember that and look her up on Twitter after this. Haviland, yeah. Con should get a hammering next year. Oh, absolutely they will. Absolutely they will. They got an absolute hammering last time in the last local elections. It's read the first time. Reading is due. Is that the PR one? Right. Okay. I'll keep an eye on that then and see what happens. But I think it's not likely to pass. But I think this is the type of activism and sort of politics you do need to do to bring in Bill 201. Right. I have to try and remember that. So, whoops-a-daisy. Like I say, I'm currently trying to perform some death-defying walking acrobatics, certainly to keep up straight on this path, because it has been very, very muddy today. I'm probably going to have to give the boots, these wellies, a good wash when I get back as well, because they are absolutely caked. So that, and we're not out of the woods yet. The last part. Ugh. Squelch, squelch, squelch. But yeah, I do think PR and at least the voting system and a serious conversation around it, it's going to happen. It is massively going to happen. If not this, time, then definitely next time. Its time has come yet again. Nope. I've got some more ponies on the path. Morning, boys. Morning, morning, morning. How are you all today? Just moves across in my way. Morning, boy. That's it. Come on. Shift on. That's it. There we go. There is the next time. Yeah. This sort of pressure and the fact that sort of the PR groups, you know, after the 2012 referendum we had on AV, a lot of people said that's it. That the idea of getting a proportional representation system, that's it. It's, you know, it's dead. It's had its day. We would put that question to bed forever. There is now more drive than ever than there was even certainly back in 2012 for a drive to sort of change the PR system. And one thing I've said multiple times before is that the PR campaign really needs to move into getting the House of Lords on that agenda as well, because I think when you look at the polls, reforming the House of Lords is really high. Really high on a lot of people's agendas. And of course, it also gets very good and high cross-party support as well. So the fact that we are here now, you know, over 10 years now, and yet after what was meant to be, you know, putting that question to bed for good, the fact that we're here now and we've got such a good movement, you know, and we've got all the big pressure groups now that we've got pushing this forward, you know, we've got more momentum than certainly there was back in 2012 for PR. And it's also time, as I've said before, I've made this, you know, point many times before, but we need to start having a discussion about what PR actually looks like. You know, in the UK, what form does it take? So that's the other, I think, a really urgent conversation we need to be having. You know, in the PR groups, what form of, you know, does PR take? I think that really needs to be the next sort of question. Of course, the PR groups have done a fantastic job in sort of raising awareness and making the case of, look, this is why we need to reform our voting system, that we now need to start moving on and start saying, well, if we're going to reform the voting system, this is what it's going to look like. And like I say, we'll get there. Like I say, we'll get there, that's for sure. It's it's like, you know, any political battle, you've got to be willing to fight it first. I think the fact that we have got such a good momentum this time, I think speaks volumes about potentiality of it all. Oh. Morning.
Morning, mate.
Oh. You can see if the dog's running behind me. Right. RC. Starmer won't back PR, rejoin, or anything we want implemented. So what's the point of Starmer? At least Corbyn caved in on a second ref. I wouldn't be so sure. Like I say, Starmer said he wants to reform the House of Lords. So why not take the case to Starmer and say, hey, we want PR, but we also you also said you want to reform the House of Lords. Let's do a deal here. Let's put PR into the House of Lords. I mean, it's not that he won't back PR. I think there are, I think you can convince Starmer to back PR. I think that, we need to really start making, start saying to Starmer, this is why we want it. And remember, you've got a big momentum in the Labour Party that now wants PR. So Starmer can't ignore that. He can't say, oh, well, I'm not going to back PR. That's, that's not good enough, there we go. Made it across. But what's the point of Keir Starmer? To get us a victory, to get us in. Like I say, I'm waiting for the Labour manifesto. And I've said it, when it comes out, we will do a live stream, cover to cover, of what's in that manifesto. But it's always the same with politics. You're never going to get a leader you 100% like. And I generally say this now. Think about this. You don't like Starmer. How do you think other Labour voters felt when they had Corbyn? I mean, you've got to consider that. And it is, in politics, you've got to compromise sometimes. And it means that, yes, you don't get everything you want. You will never get everything you want 100% in politics. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather have a Labour government under Starmer that is... Nope. I think he's going to... I thought he was going to follow me then. I'd rather have a government under Keir Starmer where I get, 40-30% of stuff that I want than have another Tory government that gives me nothing, But that's just politics. That is the game that, we have to play. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of people on the left that don't really understand that. And certainly when Corbyn was in, he, you can say, oh, well, Starmer's excluding the left and all that. Well, Corbyn excluded a lot of people that were on his, they were still on the left. They were just to the right of him, but they were still on the left. And, to build and certainly to win the next general election, you have to build a coalition of a whole lot of people. And if you want, as we were talking, about PR, if you want a really good system that will definitely help represent sort of the UK, then PR is the way to go. But also get involved in, Labour. Make sure you get involved in, your MP. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Looked like I froze there. But there we go. Make sure that you get involved in, your MP elections. Make sure you get involved in your local council elections as well. Because I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people who have got into their local councils who are socialist. and have done fantastic things. You know, this is the point where I always recommend the book Paint Your Town Red. Go and read it. It's a fantastic book. I always recommend it. Starmer's ruled out freedom movement, customs union, and single market. Hasn't ruled out closer alignment. And we had a video I'm going to be doing today about one of it. All the businesses have said, we don't want different alignment, different, you know, this de-alignment isn't really going to help us. So why are you doing it? Which again builds the case. If we want to, you know, get back into the single market customs union, just because Starmer says no, doesn't mean we just give up. You know, you keep on and you keep at it. If in politics, if you want to win a fight, you have to be prepared sometimes for a long haul fight. So that's my words of wisdom today. Paul. Starmer's not against PR. Highly likely Lord's reform will be PR. Otherwise, no point in reform. Paves the way for Parliament reform with PR. Exactly, yeah. Exactly right, Paul. But Starmer's opinion is not really relevant, right? Yes and no. Obviously, he's the sort of, you know, leader of the party, so of course his opinion does carry some weight, but if you've got members of the party and MPs saying, look, Starmer, it's time for PR, eventually he'll have to cave. Eventually he will have to cave. There's no other option. Starmer is the weakest link, anti-freedom of movement and single market, and pro-first past the post. Again, like I say, as Paul said, he's not really, never really come out and said that he is pro-first past the post, so I don't really think that's necessarily true. But again, it's all about sort of putting in political pressure. And as I said before, just a moment ago, think where we were back in 2012. Well, after we had that referendum on the AEV vote, everyone said, this is over. We never have to do this again. And what's happened? The entire movement has retooled, re-energized, and is now back in the fight. And it's gone even further than it ever did back in 2012. So we will get PR eventually, because that is the way that we are going. That is the way these arguments are made and advanced. So the more we make these arguments, the more it will happen. It's just, you know, you've got to be prepared to, you know, fight and, you know, speak out about, you know, the cause to you. You know, that's what I'm doing now. You know, I'm sort of, you know, evangelizing to you all about PR, although I know most of you are very much on the same page as me on that. So, oh, Fox, good morning to you. Oop, Chthonic, hello. Starmer isn't compromising, he's caving into bigots. Well, it's not really, RC. Ping me a link on Twitter. Thank you very much, FSM. First past the post means choosing, always having to choose left between two evils. Chthonic, yep. Nicholas, I don't think Starmer is against freedom of movement. It's just not possible. So I tie your balls to that mast. Yeah, exactly. At the moment, Starmer's in. We've talked about this hundreds of times before. Starmer's in a really difficult position. He can't really do it yet. He really can't. Even if he wanted to, he really can't. We've got to start really building up, you know, the movement and start saying, look, the UK should be in the single market and customs union. That's what we need to really start building up towards and getting that done. But like I say, as anything, it will take time. And I read a very interesting piece yesterday by someone who thinks that he might take maybe sort of a couple more years before we get some, new MPs in that don't have the Brexit baggage. It was difficult to sort of, argue against, but I think he had a right point to say that. Who was that now? It was the Be a Brexit blog, I think it was, who wrote it. Starmer is Tory light? Absolutely not. No, Starmer is not Tory light. Starmer has done and said many, many things that no Tory would ever agree with. All politics is local, yeah, very true. Hang on, I need to sort of catch up with chat. Hang on, there we go. I'm just catching up, there we go. Because we are now, unfortunately, at the end of our good morning walk. Like I say, guys, as always, thank you so much for joining me as always. Like I say, please do remember to hit that like and share button on your way out. Down below, there is a link to my Patreon page and a... one of today's link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, there's the YouTube thank you button down below as well. And of course, there's the Pony Club you can join as well. So, the lefty boat missed it again. So yes, as Daly just said, have a cracking day. So yeah, have a cracking day, everyone in chat. Have a good one. As you can see, the ponies are having their breakfast. So, have an absolutely fantastic day. Saturday. Yes, we will be having a good morning walk on Saturday. Just trying to remember when it was. So, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, as always, very much for everyone for joining us. It's fantastic, as always, to see you. And, of course, thank you very much, Chthonic, as well, for showing the perks that we get. Like I say, those are the current emojis. Like I say, I do want to get some more made soon, but we need a couple more members to sort of justify, because I can't go back to my artist and just say, yeah, can you make me one emoji? But as always, thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for joining, and of course, we'll see you next time for another good morning walk.